Thanks to the support as a channel member, Johnny Comber. Well, we'll call that mission accomplished in the first season at Arsenal. Now the real work begins because we're back in the Champions League and back to having no money to spend because we spent it all in January. Hello and welcome to Club 3, Part 8 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, it's our season review and transfer special here at Arsenal. Transfers probably we're going to need to sell to buy, although there are a couple of pre-arranged transfers ready to come in that I'll show you once we've done this season review. But yeah, as you saw at the end of yesterday's episode, the budget as it stands right now is 0 and we're over our wage budget. So we definitely need to move some players on this summer. So it's going to be Part 2 of the rebuild, this time the budget version. But the season review is looking beautiful because we've got 2 trophies sat on it, an FA Cup and a Europa League, which is a very nice way to start off a season review. Liam Delap has won signing of the season, which I can't really argue with at all. He's come in and got 23 goals from 25 appearances. Yes, he cost a lot of money, but he's 25 years old. He's English. He's a current England international. You can't really argue that's a good signing. I'm a little bit confused about Rui Camara having a C-, mainly down to giving the player a wage that's too high for his place in the squad. What, nailed on starting winger? Don't understand. Absolutely don't understand. 22-year-old former wonder kid who's going to be a world superstar. Yeah, he deserves the money he's on. He's earning less than Reece Nelson. That's why that's ridiculous. But we've got an A on board confidence. The board are delighted that we won the Europa League this season. Remember, when I arrived, this club were 19th in the league. We ended up finishing 11th. They were looking for me to qualify for the Europa League. I mean, I'm a little bit confused that they've given me an F for that because my target that I was given was a fight bravely against relegation. None of this mid-table trash. So I'm a little bit confused about that, but we got an A for the Europa League performance, a B for the FA Cup. Carabao Cup was over before I even arrived. But yeah, I think we did phenomenally well in the league. If we'd have had the whole season, the season started in January, we're up there winning the league. So I'm a little bit confused. We thumped Blackburn, both with Arsenal and Posh this season, which was lovely. Money-wise, sponsorships are the same as they were before. Broadcast revenue, roughly the same. All of this. A club the size of Arsenal, these numbers are rarely going to change very much. But it's good to see that 2 of my new signings are up there as the most popular shirt sales. Delap selling more shirts than anybody. Pedri is up there as well. Kovacic, though, is almost certainly moving on this summer, even though he only arrived last summer. And this is our team of the year. So Dragowski in goal, a back four of Tierney, Gascon, Gabriel and Williams, Kovacic and Doyle in midfield, Saka, Almada, Camara and Delap up front. No João Pedro in the team of the year. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Fans player of the year is Kieran Tierney. I think they're just biased because he's been here forever and they love him. Young player of the year, Rui Camara, who apparently we spend too much money on. Signing of the season was Delap. Goal of the season goes to Reece Nelson. Top scorer is Delap. Most assists is Williams from right back. Most man of the matches goes to Tierney. And Tierney also getting the highest average rating. So maybe I was a little hard on him there. And Delap also winning the Europa League Golden Boot. We broke our transfer record in both directions this year, both in January. Adeyemi going to, I think he went to Paris Saint-Germain, didn't he, for £65 million. And we then reinvested that money and then some in Rui Camara for £85.5 million. And all in all, got to call it a very good season. And we came into a team that we thought was going to be in a relegation battle and got them back into the Champions League in 8 months. I'll absolutely take that. Club vision wise, what are they looking for this year? So it's only looking for a top half Premier League finish. I'm thinking in terms of, right, let's go win the league now. But they're looking for a top half Premier League finish in the first knockout round of the Champions League. And they're looking for a top half Premier League finish forever. 5 years' time, they'll still be happy with the top half. Grow some ambition, Arsenal, for goodness sake. I don't think this is the final club of Non-League to Legend this year. That is possibly the most unambitious thing I've ever seen. We might be here one more year and then we're going to move on to a club that are actually going to try, because that's pathetic. Team leaders, Gabriel, Tierney and Pedro. Pedro, unless he decides he doesn't want to leave, is leaving this summer. I'm not keeping anybody who's unhappy here. Likewise, Nelson will be gone. Aya's probably going to be gone. Who else? Kovacic will be gone. There's a few of these players who are going to be moving out this summer to basically fund me bringing in new faces. Right, well, let's just tell the players that we're looking for mid-table, because apparently, yeah, too right. Some of you are disappointed. I like it. Let's actually, can we pump the fists? We can't. I want to say, yeah, well, let's do top half then. There you go. They're happier with top half. So the players agree with me. We're going to get to the latter stages of the Champions League. There you go. We're going to be, even if the board on our side, we're going to do well, because this is a very good group of players, and we know that it is. End of season break, that's all good stuff. There's confirmation. Delap. Oh, Kirstic got second. That is amazing. Oh, I love that boy. Should we try and bring him in as well? And that, look at the state of that for Europa League Dream 11. It's all who are these two? Get out of my team. Dragowski in goal, Petrozilka, Parsons and Gabriel at the back, João Pedro, Francis, Kovacic and someone else in midfield, and then someone else with Kirstic and Delap. That, if I tell you what, if I could put that team together, they're the boys I want. I really want. Liam Parsons, target number 1 this summer. If we can get him, that'd be sensational. Although, to be fair, Petrozilka will take as well. And Danny Francis, I'm interested in, because he's going to be going back to Liverpool now. And it's going to be very interesting to see what Liverpool do with him. And then Kirstic as well. We want to be taking a much closer look at this summer. Right, let's have a look at the team as is and get some players on the transfer list. Because, like I say, we've got to sell before we can buy this summer. We have got a couple. I suppose I could show you the players we're bringing in. Let's just, facilities have been downgraded. Well, let's put them back up again. João Pedro is happy to stay. This is important. We've got coaching stuff. I mean, I am always of a mind to promote from within when it comes to coaches. So if Ken Gillard wants to be a coach for us, then Ken Gillard becomes a coach and someone else can come in and take his place in the under-23s. Right, the players that we're bringing in. So players in, there's a couple of youngsters who were arranged by other people, probably before I arrived even, but the two headline acts, we have Vito Tomella, Italian. Not good at Italian, not good at anything really, language-wise. But he's a centre-back / right-back. He's comfortable playing in either position. He's joining us from Milan for £20 million. He's good enough to be competing with Gabriel, Gascon, Quaresma as a centre-back, so Aya can move on. But at right-back, he can also be in there competing with Williams, which means Dallo can move on as well, because I'm not really interested in Diego Dallo either. And then in midfield, we're spending £18.5 million, rising to £50 million, for Thales Magno. Magno? You're going to have to let me know down in the comments section here to complete our beautiful front line, where we've now got Camera, Magno, and Delap. João Pedro can cover in all areas as well. Saka's still here. Everyone who's not a name I've just mentioned can leave at this point, but he is an absolute superstar. He's better than anyone we've got on the left wing at the moment. He's as good as Camera on the right wing. He's better than anyone we've got as a striker at the moment. He's been at Porto, so he's used to playing with Camera as well. We have a superstar coming in to play for us as part of our new look front 3 / front 4, probably still going to be a front 4. But that means we can probably start deciding who's going to go on this transfer list. So we don't want to hide the future transfers in. Let's get them in the mix on there and see what we've got in each position. So starting from the front, we kind of need two proper strikers, maybe a youngster, and maybe someone else who can play there if needed. So João Pedro, Delap, Magno's the one who can play there if needed. So is Camera, really. Almada can play up there. So to me, that kind of indicates that maybe the likes of Ramos and Bristow probably need to move on. And then we've got this guy Maldonado, who could potentially be the youngster in there as an 18-year-old. He's really an attacking midfielder, though. But there was another guy in there, Perry, who could potentially be the youngster in there. Jamie Perry is 20 years old, can play as a complete forward, which is nice, although he's only 5'8", so he isn't going to. But he could potentially be the youngster in there, which means we're going to move some of the players on in there. And then we've got that similar situation in all these different positions. Nelson, Bristow, Ceballos. I mean, these are the players. This is a bloated squad. And we need to get rid of some of these players down the bottom end of this. Anyone who's sort of over 21 in the bottom half of this, when I scroll through, has got to be aware that their days at this club are numbered. If we look again in central midfield, Aya, I just can't imagine using him. I want to upgrade that area. I want to improve the midfield. Doyle's definitely still in the plans. Ceballos, not so much because he's 31. Gavin Smaller might come back and get back into that midfield. He went out on loan. He was here for us earlier in the season. We saw Will Foster in the FA Cup final, who's got 3.5 star potential, but is a natural box-to-box midfielder and a homegrown player. So let's use him. At centre-back, again, we've got some old men that we need to be moving on, particularly looking at Aya, Vito Tomea. He's the new guy coming in, isn't he? Because he's going to be a right back. That's why I was like, who's he? Let's sell him. He's not even here yet. I mean, that bodes well for him, doesn't it? But do we need to look past Tierney? I know I experimented with Saka back there before. Should Saka be my left back? Probably not. But Dalot probably needs to move on. There's lots to be done. There is lots to be done. We need to get some players on the transfer list, get some bodies out of the door, and then start bringing some transfers in again. That's the plan. Right, we've made it through to the start of not deadline day, the start of the transfer window being open. So that let me just see, this guy is top of my shopping list. I actually made an offer for him earlier in the summer. Not in the summer, towards the end of last season. We might try and go and get him because we've got a few players who've already agreed to leave, and he might just be the man that we decide to bring in as the Kovacic replacement, because Kovacic is on his way out. In fact, very tempted to just make the same offer that I made before. We might just knock some of these prices down a little bit and just see if we can get him for a slightly lower fee. We can. Excellent. Let's try and get him. So if we hit continue, we should have all of our other transfers go through for the 9th of July. Right, Barrow, fingers crossed we get him in. He can be our new midfielder. So let's just negotiate that deal. Just try and knock these bits down a little bit. See if we can... There we go. That'll do nicely. But the transfers that have gone through, Kovacic is gone. He's gone to Manchester United, £20 million. It's a huge loss, but they were idiots for signing him last summer. That is a loss that Arsenal have brought on themselves by spending £35 million on a 33-year-old. What were they thinking? Yeah, he was a decent player, but let's bin him off, get some value. Reece Nelson has gone to Liverpool, £35 million. He wanted to leave. Don't care if the fans don't like it. Gonçalo Ramos has gone to Leicester for £30 million. Yeah, he was a useful squad player. We've got better. Woodman, this is mad. We've sold him to Fulham for £7 million. That's an incredible fee for Freddie Woodman. At 31 years old, he's never really been a regular starter anywhere, other than those 2 seasons, I guess, on loan at Swansea. Never gone for anywhere near that kind of fee. I've turned them a nice profit there to make up some of the Kovacic money. Again, it was a weird signing last summer. And these are the players that we've brought in. So 2 of my boys and 2 of the youngsters that we're probably not going to use. So Simplice Ngoy is an 18-year-old Swiss left-back who's just going to go straight into the under-18s or the under-23s. Karim Modene, likewise, he'll go and play in the youth teams for a little while. I wasn't involved in either of those. But Thales Magno, we already know about. He comes in as potentially the best player at the club now, current Brazil international at 25 years old. Will certainly have a bit of that. And Vitor Tomelo he's a very solid player to cover 2 different positions. And I expect him to get a lot of game time. So let's send those on their courses, give out some squad numbers as well, welcome those boys in. I think there's still more players due to leave, but maybe there isn't. Maybe I'm imagining it. I know Bristow we've agreed a deal for. Dalot we've agreed a deal for, but it might be that the countries they're going to. Ceballos, that was a £22.5 million offer. from Brighton. They're the only club who are in for him. I think I'm going to have to drop the asking price to try and get another club involved in the action because he's turned them down twice now. He's not going out on loan. That's a ridiculous suggestion. I'll swap him. If you want him, I'll do you a swap deal for Migliaccio. Let's, you can just do a straight swap for Ceballos. I mean, if they agree to this, Football Manager's broken. There you go. We'll do you a straight swap. No, didn't think you'd be interested in that, but don't undercut me with stupid offers. If you don't want me to do the same thing, right back to you. There you go. Now they've made a £20 million offer for him. That works. At least he might actually agree to that one. So the transfer budget is now looking at that. We're going to spend the majority of that on Barros if we get him, which he's certainly the player that I had identified earlier in the summer as my kind of sort of box-to-box midfielder to come in there alongside maybe Pedri in central midfield. So if we have a look at our team report, I know we've got Doyle in there at the moment, but I think Pedri and Barros with Almada in there, Magno that side, Camara that side, and Delap or Pedro up front, and then Pedro obviously able to cover on those two different sides as well, and lots of flexibility of players who can play in different positions in there. But we definitely need Barros and probably one more midfielder. We still have a couple of boys on their way out as well. So Dallo is going to Valencia for 20-something million, 24.5 million, and Bristow is going to PAOK, I think. Yeah, for 12.5 million. So a slight loss on Bristow. And then if we can get that 20 million for Ceballos as well, then we should be able to get Barros plus one more in midfield, because I don't think that we necessarily need to strengthen anywhere else. Tierney, Saka, Edwards, and the new boy Ngoy as left back is fine. Williams, Tomea, and Edwards can cover right back as well. Should be fine there. We could maybe do with a backup goalkeeper, but Danny Brown, he's got a little bit of potential. He's homegrown. I think he can sit on the bench and be fine. The one player I haven't got rid of yet is Aya. Maybe we get rid of him as well, because I don't see myself using him. At centre-back, he's our fourth choice. We don't use a defensive midfielder, and he's our fourth choice. Yeah, let's offer him out as well and try and get a proper midfielder in his place. So we'll transfer list him, offer him out. And if we can get rid of him and Ceballos, get Barros in plus one other midfielder, and this starts to look like the squad that I wanted all along then. I'd still love to add Liam Parsons at the back, but Posh is still looking for 100 million plus for him, and we can't. That's absolute insanity. We're not going to do that. But pretty happy with how the summer has gone so far. More of this, please. So another week has passed. More transfers have happened. There's one of them you knew about. Romario Barrow is now an Arsenal player. 3.5-star current ability box-to-box midfield player. He's going to be our engine in midfield. Splitting responsibility with Doyle. I realised I couldn't sell Aya because he's injured for the next 3 months, so I've upset him, put him on the transfer list, now taken him off again. We'll try and get rid of him again in January. We've also signed a couple of youngsters. Fabio Lombardi is an 18-year-old Uruguayan under-20 international with decent potential, should be a Premier League striker at some point. But Diego Martinez is my first proper wonder kid we've brought in. 20 years old, already 25 caps for Mexico, a 4-star current ability, deep line playmaker to play in central midfield, the best midfielder at the club, and he's only cost us £18 million. That's how you do wonder kids, boys and girls. This is what the squad is now looking like. We're still trying to get rid of Ceballos, and we've now had to drop his price down to 15 million and agree to pay some of his wages to try and get him out the door. So at the moment, he is still here, but he's one of the last of the old men still at the club. So I think we're definitely sorted in the attacking areas. I don't think we need any new players in that section of the pitch. But now in midfield, we've got Martinez, we've got Pedri, we've got Barrow, who's just come in, Aya, who's going to have to stick around, Almada, who can obviously drop back and play if needed, Tommy Doyle, who's just signed a new contract as another box-to-box midfielder, and then Ceballos should be moving on. And I think midfield is now done. So we probably now just need maybe, I'd love a left back, like a real top tier left back, because Kieran Tierney's 30, a real top level left back who could maybe also cover at right back. So Tomea can play in the middle if he has to. I'd like to get rid of Aya, but that's going to be a January job, and then maybe a backup goalkeeper. There's still money to do it with. So we will continue wheeling and dealing. Right, it is the 1st of July, which means more transfers have happened and some of them have actually gone through now as well. So Valencia have signed Diego Dallo from us, 24.5 million, and also picked up Mo Salah on a free transfer. I mean, I probably wouldn't have signed him, but my scout, I mean, it shows how well trained my scouts are that they didn't know. They didn't even tell me. We're not interested in old men. But Dallo's gone there for £24.5 million. Luis Santos has gone to Sevilla for £13.75 million. He was a youngster that did play a couple of times towards the end of the season for us in the Cup, I think. Yeah, literally a couple of times. But yeah, that deal was arranged long ago. Simplice Ngoy, who was signed earlier in the summer, we've sold again because the idiots involved in running the academy signed him without a work permit. So we've just sold him again because work permits are usually quite useful in, permitting people to work. Kern Edwards has been sold. I wasn't planning on selling him. So he's good cover across the back line. He was a homegrown player. He's young. He's English. We were also offered £26 million by Juventus, and I'm not turning down that kind of money for a 3-star potential player. So he's gone. Dani Ceballos has gone to Milan, but we're still paying most of his wages. But it gets him out of the way and gets us £15 million of spensies in, which is good. Pete Bristow has been sold at a loss. We spent £16 million on him. He was a flop. He's gone to PAOK for £12.5 million. He'll love it out there. He relishes small-time clubs in small-time leagues, so he'll have a lovely time over there in Greece. I'm an Apollon man. I'm always going to have my rivalries. Is that it for now? Clubs turning down the opportunity to sign Alan Skinner. Well, someone else is already trying to sign him, so I don't understand. Why am I being told that? We need to fiddle with our mentoring groups, which is fine. And I think we did sign a player or two since you last saw as well. You got as far as Martinez. Carlos Alberto is another winger. £10 million for a 23-year-old Brazilian international. Can't turn that down. He was on the transfer list at Manchester City. It's just another body for us to have in attacking areas. He can play central midfield. He can play right wing. He can play up front. We didn't need him, but I'm weak. And Marko Mialovich is a 19-year-old Serbian under 21 international, 38 under 21 caps. He's predicted to be a Premier League quality defender in the future, but he'd been released on a free transfer by Red Star. I don't really know why, but he was just available on a free transfer. We didn't sign him directly from them. He came up in my scout reports, and I thought, well, yeah, we'll have that. Thanks. So this is what the team looks like at the moment. I'm still trying to bring in a fullback. Hopefully some news on that very soon. But I think the rest of the club is there. We are there. Maybe a backup goalkeeper. But we're there. And we've done it with a little bit of money to spare. I mean, we'll wait until all the transfers in and out have finished going through before we worry about the wage situation. And there might be some clauses that we can claim up here. I don't know if any of them are going to be any good. But if there's a big money clause, we'll definitely sell it. See, 600,000 isn't getting the job done for me. But I guess if we accumulate all of these, see, that's over £1 million. I might just sell them all because I'd rather have the money now to spend this summer when we're in the middle of a rebuild. There's probably £4 or £5 million worth of claws that we could sell here. So I'll go through and sell those. I'll also bring in some trialists as usual. I doubt there's going to be anyone who comes into the team unless there's someone similar to Salah who's now available. Not necessarily position-wise, but that kind of reputation and experience because we've obviously got rid of a lot of our older players now. We've only got 4 players in their 30s and 3 of them are only just there. They are all still regular players, so I'm not disgusted in the age range in our squad, but like Kovacic, I would love to bring in a Kovacic style player on a free transfer. My frustration with that was always that they spent £35 million on him. But if someone like that comes up on a free, we'll absolutely be involved in that. I mean, they're 36 and 37, but Virgil van Dijk and Kevin De Bruyne are available on a free transfer. We're offering them trials. Let's see how good they are. We've signed Virgil van Dijk as a youth coach. He didn't want to come in as a player. He's in as a coach. Kevin De Bruyne wanted to be director of football. I said maybe have a year or two in the under-18s coaching first. Wasn't having any of it. So no De Bruyne. But Virgil van Dijk is in as an under-18s coach. and has immediately hung up his boots. He was retiring on the 10th of July anyway. He is now fully retired and in as part of our youth team coaching setup. Maybe a future assistant manager. Get me and my streamer showdown buddy, co-winner 3 times, Virgil van Dijk, get him in as my assistant manager. It's the dream team. It's got to happen. We have exactly the kind of player that I said I wanted. Kylian Remy is a 23-year-old right back who can also play left back. So he's going to be very strong competition for Williams at right back. But also if we switch over to looking at left back as well, he's better than Saka. He's better than Tierney. He could well be in on either side. He's coming from Monaco. Exactly the kind of player that we wanted. And I think just a goalkeeper now and we're done, unless we suddenly come into some money and are able to get Liam Parsons, because Liam Parsons is definitely the long-term goal. But I think we've probably met all the short-term goals now. And does that say Aya's rent? I mean, could we maybe try and get, if we could sell him, if we could sell, looking at the defenders, if we could sell Quaresma and Aya, that would leave us with Gabriel, Gascon, Tamea, and then add Parsons. Those 2 going could just about get us enough money for Parsons. That is a real long shot piece of business if we can pull that off. If we can, that would finish things off perfectly. And yes, we still need a backup goalkeeper, but really low priority, unless the first choice one gets injured, of course. Well, I think we probably now have finished all our transfer business for the summer. A couple more youngsters came in that I wasn't really involved in. I had a little look at them and thought, yeah, you know what? He's got 5-star potential. Bring him in. But this was all the youth development guy. We have sold a lot of players, though, and a lot more of the fringe players, the youngsters, have gone out on loan. So we're on quite a tight squad for this season. We've got a first-team squad of 22 players, and there's probably one more that I'd consider loaning out, which is Jamie Perry, mainly because I just don't think he's going to get anywhere in the team. He's our 7th choice left winger. He's a striker. 9th choice striker in a 20 out of 22 players. We've got a lot of players who can play in a lot of positions, so we'll probably let him go. We've got a little bit of money left. If we could bring in a better goalkeeper than Brown, I would like that. But really, looking at the squad depth, I don't think there's any major issues with a position that needs strengthening. We've got 8 strikers in this 22. We've got 6 centre-backs, 7 centre-mids, 10 right-wingers, 7 left-wingers, 3 left-backs, 4 right-backs. You know, we've got plenty of players. So they're just, a lot of them can play in a lot of positions. So if we were to pick up 3 or 4 injuries, it does start to become a problem. So I need to probably keep an eye on that a little bit. But this is something of a tradition for these transfer specials when we get to this point of non-league to legend. We are going to play the Community Shield. It's us as FA Cup winners against Manchester United as league winners, and this is the team for that game. We've got Dragowski in goal, Saka's at left back, Gabriel, Gascon and new boy Tamea is going to play at right back for us. In midfield, it's 2 new boys, Carlos Alberto, who's in from Manchester City, and Barrow alongside him, and then another new boy, Telles Magno on the left, who is the only player in our squad who's in the Premier League Dream 11. The media think we're going to finish 5th, but he is in the Dream 11. I think we're going to finish top 4, and I think Camera is as good as Magno, and probably Delap is as well. But we're going Magno, Pedri, Camera behind Delap up front. It does mean that new vice-captain Tommy Doyle's on the bench. Williams, who was great for us last year, is on the bench. Pedro's on the bench. New superstar wonder kid Martinez is on the bench. Almada's on the bench. We have a strong bench. Kieran Tierney not even in, and Remy's away on international duty. Kieran Tierney not even on the bench. So we've got a very strong sort of first 18 players. Once you get past that, there's not much, but there is a lot of players who are out on loan. So I guess if things get really desperate, if I've misjudged this, we can recall some of those loans in January and try and recover in the second half of the season. But let's see how this 11 matches up against Manchester United's 11. The only real change I think I'd make to this for the league, you probably bring Hernandez in alongside Barrow. We might start Williams or Remy. We will start Williams or Remy ahead of Tamea. Remy's away at the Olympics and Williams doesn't need to prove anything, which is why Tamea's playing there. So we've gone 1-0 up. Tales Magno, he is going to set the Premier League alight this season. we have an absolute superstar, a Brazilian superstar, an elite attacking midfield player who I signed him basically as a replacement for João Pedro. At the time when João Pedro looked like he was definitely going to be leaving, he was the guy who I brought in to say, right, well, he can play on that left-hand side where Pedro was playing with Delap up front. But now Pedro, as club captain, I mean, he's first substitute for all of those front three. He'll come on in any of those three positions. Almada can come on for Pedri. They'll be used interchangeably. There'll be rotation. Obviously, we're in the Champions League this year. We're going to play a lot of football matches. So I'm not worried about Pedro not being in this starting 11 today. If I have one worry, it's I'd like 2 or 3 more players. But it didn't do us any harm at Posh having a very small squad. So I'm hoping it won't do us any harm here at Arsenal either. But we'll see. It's caused me problems in the past. I know I did something similar to this at Leicester in the beta, and it was a disaster, and we ended up with an injury crisis and weren't really able to field a decent first team, and it all went a little bit wrong. So it can certainly go one way or the other, but by slimming the squad down to such a small number of players, it's allowed us to increase the average quality of the players in this squad massively. And having people like Saka, Williams, Pedri, Almada, João Pedro, who can play in 3 or 4 different positions within this system, does mean it's less of a risk than if we just had, like, we've got 2 left backs and that's it. We've got 4 or 5 players in this squad who could all play at left back if they need to. And that's the same in most positions that we've got. But like I say, it's often the same player covering more than one of those positions. But I am happy with that performance so far. We're 1-0 up against Premier League champions Manchester United, who have got Kovacic in their ranks, not in their team today, because he's 34 years old. He shouldn't be in anybody's team at this level, but I assume he's on their bench. Oh, we can't look because we've gone into another highlight. It's Delap bringing the ball down nicely, playing it out to Camera. If he can get there, we're in, and Camera can get there. We are in, and he forces a good save out of the Manchester United goalkeeper, and we've got another corner, and the big boys are going to come forward, and we're going to try and put ourselves 2-0 up. Saka finds Carlos Alberto, the former Manchester City man, and another one of our Brazilian contingent who's come in this summer. Yes, it didn't take me long to fill the team with Brazilians, but we do still have a few English players. We've got Saka, we've got Delap, we've got Doyle. Williams is Welsh, I think. But there's still English players around. I've not gone completely international. Work permits and things make it impossible to do that on FM21, I think. United have a corner here. Reina with the in-swinger, Carlos Alberto heading clear, and Pedri is going to try and get there first and get a counter-attack going. He doesn't get there first. The counter-attack doesn't happen. Right, it is the Community Shield, so it is tradition to now just make a whole heap of substitutions. I'm going to bring on every one of these outfield players. So Williams is going to come on for Tomea. Doyle will come on for Barrow. Pedro for Delap. Quaresma can come on for Gascon. Martinez can come on for Alberto. And Almada can come on for Pedri. I don't think we can bring the last substitute on. No, it's only 6 you can do. But for the last 20 minutes, we'll just mix things up completely and try some different players, just slotting into roles that they're likely to play a lot of games in this season. So I think this is Williams with the throw. It is Williams with the throw. Martinez, his first touch in a highlight, has just given the ball away, but luckily we've got away with it. But he's supposed to be our new wonder kid playmaker, and that was a little bit worrying. João Pedro turns and runs, though. He is wanted by Manchester United, apparently, so that's interesting. I mean, they're going to need to give us Parsons buying money if they want to come in and buy him. So bearing in mind, I think we're on 40% retained transfer revenue. They're going to need to give us 200 million for João Pedro to prize him from me. So he ain't going there. But you know, if they could let us get Parsons, then it becomes a maybe. United still pushing for an equaliser in this Community Shield. They're in again here. That's a lovely piece of defending. Who is that? The number 13, I think it was. I need to find. Is that Doyle? Click on him. Stop. Right, pause. Who was it? Martinez. Lovely piece of defending. He's redeemed himself because that was a lovely piece of defending. Right. United in again. Williams with the tackle. Quaresma heading clear, and it's Magno with the chance for the counter-attack. He's got João Pedro with him. It's 2-on-2 here. That's a terrible pass. He should have just kept running. He is shattered, though. Looking at his fitness levels, he's had enough. He's ready to come off. Williams plays it forward to Camera, who's also very tired. He's going to want a big season this year after missing out on both of the finals last year. So we're going to be looking for a lot from him this season. Camara, again, running infield, skips past one man. The ball bobbles clear to Williams. Williams plays it into João Pedro, who's in, and he scores. And it's 2-0 to Arsenal. And we've added another trophy to our collection. That's 3 trophies won in our last 3 competitive football matches. I assume that's how it works from now on. We just get a trophy after every game. To be fair, we've got the European Super Cup probably in tomorrow's episode as well. So it could be 3 episodes in a row where we've seen the trophy animation, which would be lovely stuff. I don't know who we're playing in that. I don't know who won the Champions League, but that's going to be an interesting one. But here we go. It's the Champions presentation again. We've won the big one, the Community Shield. I mean, conceivably with this squad, I mean, it's unlikely. This could be the final season of this save. If we just go and win everything this year, as soon as we win the Champions League, we're done. What I suspect will happen is we'll qualify for the Champions League, the board won't back me, and I'll end up leaving at the end of the season and going to manage a major European superpower, having proven myself here. But for now, let's not worry about how it might go wrong at Arsenal and enjoy the fact that we have won 3 trophies now in less than a year at the club. I know one of them's a Community Shield and it doesn't really count, but still, I'm taking it. I'm enjoying it. Let's give our little team talk. Congratulations, lads. Good work. And I think we wrap the video up there because there's not going to be any more transfers now. We start the season in tomorrow's episode with a home game against Liverpool. And then I'm assuming the second game tomorrow will be the European Super Cup. I think it will come. So that it's probably there. I'm expecting that to be the European Super Cup. But let's look at the fixtures. Yeah, it is. Real Madrid. That'll be a little bit of a test, won't it? If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.